Welcome to the Poke Report. This week we'll be looking at a variety of different sports as the soccer and football season start to wind down. From men and women's basketball to wrestling, we have everything you need to get you ready for the winter sports season. I'm Greg Cimino. The OSU Cowboys had off last week, but there was still plenty of action going on in the Big 12. Top 10 teams, TCU and Kansas State, battled for a potential spot in the college football playoffs, while Texas upsetted West Virginia, knocking them out of the top 25. Jordan Bridges has an in-depth recap.
It's time for your Big 12 Conference recap. Let's start with the marquee matchup in the conference last week as number 7 Kansas State took a trip to Fort Worth to take on the TCU Horned Frogs. Trayvon Blaken added to his Heisman campaign with 2 early touchdowns, including this 10-yard pass to David Porter. But Kansas State would not go away that easy. As QB Jake Waters hit the speedster Tyler Lockett for a 70-yard touchdown pass, but it was all Horned Frogs for the rest of the way, as Blaken added 2 more touchdowns in a 41-20 victory. Now let's head to Norman for number 12 Baylor versus number 15 Oklahoma. OU got off to a hot start that featured this pass from Trevor Knight to Deron Neal. Baylor got their act together fast, though. Bryce Petty threw for 387 yards and 1 touchdown. However, the bulk of the work was done on the ground, including this 15-yard run by Shock Linwood. Baylor scored 45 unanswered points in a rout of OU, 48-14 big. Fresh off a heartbreaking 1-point loss to TCU, West Virginia traveled to Austin to take on an unranked Texas team. It was Texas all the way in this one. The Longhorns had a field day in the run game. Jonathan Gray ran for 101 yards and 3 touchdowns on just 10 carries, including this masterful 39-yard touchdown run. Longhorns win big, 33-16. Let's head to Lawrence, where Iowa State and Kansas had a combined record of 0-10 in the Big 12. But it would be Kansas getting their first conference win in a runaway victory in Lawrence. Michael Cummings had a good throwing day, including this beauty to Nigel King. The Jayhawks piled it on from there and cruised to a 34-14 victory. The Big 12 is still up for grabs going into the last part of the season. This has been your Big 12 Conference recap. For the Poke Report, I'm Jordan Bridges.
With 3 weeks left, Baylor, TCU, and Kansas State are all tied for first. It'll be a close finish for the Big 12 championship. Tonight, the Cowboys take on the Longhorns at Boone Pickens Stadium for senior night. Both teams will be looking for their 6th win in order to become bowl eligible. This could be the last meaningful game that the Cowboys play this season. Amanda Sebring shows us what's at stake for the Cowboys in tonight's matchup.
For 8 consecutive years, Oklahoma State has capped off its season with a bowl game. This year, the fate of postseason rides on just 1 win out of the remaining 3 games. Head coach Mike Gundy thinks the University of Texas will be the most physical opponent his team will face so far this season, and recognizes the challenges that come along with the Longhorn offense.
From an outsider looking in, their quarterback has gained some experience. They have good players. They're still big, strong, and fast and can run and make plays. They look very similar to what they have been over the past few years. I think that they're playing hard on defense and running to the ball. And I think they have good players.
However, the Cowboys are not the only team in need of just 1 more win. The Longhorns are sitting on a 5-5 record under first-year head coach Charlie Strong.
A big one this Saturday night, a senior night up there in Stillwater, and we know this. We're going to get their best, and we had to be at our best.
The last 4 OSU-UT matchups have ping-ponged, giving neither team a winning record advantage. Plus, big changes in both programs have made this a rebuilding season on both sides.
Working through a new quarterback and a young offensive line and a little bit of experience, and it just takes a little bit longer than what most people would want.
Last year, the Cowboys beat the Longhorns in Austin, but tonight, they're searching for more than just a win. For the Poke Report, I'm Amanda Sebring.
Joining us now is Ocala football beat reporter Anise McEwen, who has been following the team all season and has a more in-depth look with the Cowboys. Anise, what can you expect from both Texas and OSU here tonight?
Well, both Texas and the Cowboys are looking for that 1 win to get to a bowl game. So this is going to be a very intense game. Typically, historically, is a pretty good game to watch between the 2 programs. But I think this game today is going to have a little extra edge to it just because they are looking for that bowl eligibility and because Texas has really kind of been on the rise lately and their defense is really getting together. And unfortunately for OSU, their offense and their team has just kind of been on the decline. So it should be a good matchup and not really what people expected preseason.
Okay, and so after coming off the bye week, the Cowboys had a little extra time to prepare for this game, particularly with Dax Garman. I mean, he's struggled in his last 3 games. He's only thrown 1 touchdown and 6 interceptions. How do they get him back on track?
Well, a lot of the blame's really gone to the offensive line and what they have not been able to do, and that's given him a whole lot of time to throw. If the offensive line can improve a little bit on that and give him some extra time to throw, I think he'll perform a lot better than he has lately. And I also think the mental aspect of it, he really does get thrown off when he throws those interceptions, when he makes bad passes, all those kinds of things. So if he can get back on track and really not let those disrupt the flow of the offense and get those first downs and make drives down the field, they can score some points and they can keep up with Texas.
And possibly maybe we could see a little bit more in the running game. I know one guy that fans have been murmuring for to see a little bit more of is Tyreek Hill. I mean, this is a guy who had his first career rushing touchdown 2 weeks ago against Kansas State and was the Cowboys' first 100-yard rusher. Can we see more Tyreek Hill involved in the offensive game plan today?
Well, I think what we saw with the Kansas State game is he really is pretty versatile, and when you give him the ball and you get him in open field, he can do pretty much anything he wants. So I think really they should utilize him in a ton of more ways than they have been. For Desmond Rowland and for Rennie Childs as 2 other running backs, you can use them up the middle. They're going to power through. Tyreek is more of the agile, get through the corners, kind of hard to catch guy. So if they can use him in that way and benefit from his speed, I think we'll see a lot more of him.
And so this being possibly the last winnable game for the Cowboys with their schedule left to go, what do you expect to see if they don't win tonight? What do you expect to see from them for the rest of the season?
Well, if the Cowboys don't win tonight, they're going to have to face Baylor and Oklahoma on the road, which both were previously ranked in the top 10. Baylor still is. So those are going to be hard places to go and win. So if they can't win tonight, you might just be looking at the rest of the season trying to get that bowl win. And if they can't, get some good experience for the younger guys that Gundy's been talking about, this rebuilding year. Let's get those guys that are going to be here the next 3 or 4 years, get them some experience and hope that they can carry that into the next season and have a better season than they have this year.
Okay. Well, thanks, Anise, for joining us. We're looking forward to the game. Don't go anywhere. We're taking a quick break on the Poke Report. When we come back, we'll be taking a look at the Cowgirls' early exit in the Big 12 tournament and how it affected their bid for postseason play, as well as what the wrestling team hopes to accomplish this season against a tougher competition. Welcome back to the Poke Report. I'm Greg Cimino. Heading into the Big 12 tournament, the Cowgirls had won 4 of their last 5 games and were a favorite to make a deep run. But an unexpected loss to Baylor sent the team home early and jeopardized the Cowgirls' bid at an NCAA selection. Jacob Watkins was with the team as they awaited their fate.
With the Cowgirls fighting to make the NCAA tournament, the team had plenty of work to do at the Big 12 tournament this past week. The Cowgirls traveled to Kansas City as the number 2 seed facing off against the 7th-seeded Baylor Bears. OSU keeper Rosa Medina held the Bears off the scoreboard early with 2 saves. Medina had 4 saves on the day, but it was not enough to stop the Bears' offense. Baylor got on the board for the only goal of the game in the 37th minute when Jordan Hattler scored her first career goal. The Cowgirls attempted to strike back in the second half when Anna Beffer's shot attempt hit off the top of the crossbar. Although the Cowgirls held a 23-11 advantage on shots, OSU was unable to convert, leading to a first-round exit in the Big 12 tournament. Even with the loss, the Cowgirls still waited anxiously on Monday to find out if they made the NCAA tournament. As the selection committee announced the bracket, the moment every Cowgirl had been waiting on came. OSU will now turn its focus to the Arizona Wildcats, a team the Cowgirls lost to 3-1 early in the year while depleted with injuries. OSU head coach Colin Carmichael likes the matchup between the two teams more this time around.
Yeah, I mean, our lineup, when we play them on Friday, will be very different. It'll be a different formation, I would guess, and it'll certainly be different personnel. So we've changed a lot since then, and even as limited as we were that day, we took it right down to the wire with them. It was 1-0 us with 8 minutes left.
The Wildcats are 11-7-2 this season, but have only won 1 game out of their past 7. The Cowgirls and Wildcats will face off at 2 p.m. in Stillwater this Friday. For the Poke Report, I'm Jacob Watkins.
We'll have full coverage of the Cowgirls' first-round matchup against the Arizona Wildcats for you on next week's Poke Report. As the cold weather settles in, several teams are heading indoors. Connor Tomko joins us now to tell us what teams fans can expect good seasons from. Connor?
One team that's always expected to do well is the OSU wrestling squad, but the team's schedule this season is going to be challenging and will require a lot of hard work from every team member.
The Oklahoma State wrestling team opens its season on Sunday when they take on Northeastern Oklahoma in Miami. The Cowboys look to improve off the strong end of the season when they claim third place at the NCAA National Championships, including 2 individual champions. While Chris Perry departs, Alex Dieringer returns to defend his title, but at 165 pounds this year. The Cowboys will also return All-Americans Josh Kindig and Austin Martson, and runs another talented but young wrestling team. Head coach John Smith hopes his Cowboys grow up quickly.
What ifs in this lineup? I mean, a lot of question marks, you know. But hopefully we can kind of stamp out those question marks right now and get ourselves well prepared as we start the season.
Not only will the Cowboys be coping with a young team, they will also have to battle through a tough schedule. Along with facing Big 12 rivals Iowa State and Oklahoma, they will have to grapple with perennial Big 10 and national powers Iowa, Minnesota, and defending national champion Penn State, all of which are currently ranked in the top 5 by the USA Today. Smith welcomes the challenge of wrestling the best teams in the nation on a yearly basis.
And we got to get a lot better right now. And I'm glad that some of those Penn State and Minnesota and Iowa. I'm glad that we were able to add that Penn State and another Big Ten team to our schedule, because once you get them on your schedule, there's a good chance we'll keep those guys on the schedule, and those are the people we need to be wrestling.
Oklahoma State begins the season ranked number 9 by the USA Today as they start their quest for a 35th national title. They are also the highest ranked Big 12 team, which will make them favorites in capturing their 13th conference title. For the Poke Report, I'm Connor Tomko.
The Cowboys travel to Miami tomorrow to take on Northeastern Oklahoma and South Dakota State. Coach Smith hopes the tough schedule will be the experience that the younger wrestlers need to improve. Back to you, Greg.
We're going to take a quick break. When the Poke Report returns, we're going to take a look at an important cog to the OSU men's basketball team that barely played last year, but will be needed as a leader on the court this season. Also, the Oklahoma State Cowgirls basketball team returns with the bulk of their roster after making the Sweet 16 last year. We've got a preview of the 2014-2015 squad.